Hey, thanks for joining me on my channel today. My name is Jennifer, and I'm here to help you find your best health by using astrology and other healing methods because true health is a mind-body-soul connection. And today I wanted to focus on the solar eclipse that's going to be happening in Aquarius on February 17th of this month, of this year, I mean. And I also wanted to get into Pluto in Aquarius and some other things I noticed, which may explain what we are witnessing right now, like current events. So, first, this is just astroseek.com, and I like to pull up so you can kind of see the eclipses where they're happening. 28 degrees, 56 minutes in Aquarius. And then you'll see that the next eclipse will be a total lunar eclipse on March 3rd. And that one will be in Virgo. So I kind of wanted to speak to the eclipse that's going to be happening. And because it's in Aquarius and because it's a solar eclipse, it's kind of asking us right now to be unabashedly ourselves, to be unique, to not be afraid of maybe that crazy idea that we may be thinking and be like, and we're like, yeah, maybe I shouldn't. But that's kind of what Aquarius asks of us anyways, like to not be afraid to be like a rebel, to be progressive. I'm going to be reading a little bit of my notes so I don't get off track. All right, let's see. Yeah, and so it's a radical time for sure. And I feel like that, just like an individual level, that's what the solar eclipse may be bringing up for each and every one of us. And it also depends on your chart where it's landing. But besides that, just that it's also it could also be bringing in this energy as well, because a solar eclipse is technically like a new moon on steroids. And because of that, yeah, I mean, things may come up well, here's another thing. So because it's a solar eclipse, we might have already started to see, like for yourself, maybe you've already noticed something, maybe an idea you had, maybe something that was asking you to be authentic. Maybe you were being afraid to be authentic. But when it comes to a solar eclipse, it's kind of asking you, maybe it's not even asking you, it's going to like force you to be authentic. And you're going to have to deal with that. And hopefully it's on a good thing, but it just depends what's going on in your life. And what I also wanted to look into with you as well is, so besides it being a solar eclipse and then affecting us individually, I was also looking, because this year is the 250-year anniversary for America. And I know 250 years ago, we were in the American Revolution. And so I kind of wanted to see the Sibley chart and what was going on there. And I noticed something really interesting. And for those who don't know what the Sibley chart is, it's literally just the natal chart of America. So let me pull that up real quick. All right, here we go. So July 4th, 1776, this is the natal chart of America. America has a Sagittarius rising, a Cancer sun, and a Gemini Mars. But if you go down here, you'll notice that we have a moon in Aquarius. Let me see, did I show the... Oh, I did not put the... Give me just a second and I'll put the... I did it for today's date instead of the 17th. There we go. All right. There we go. Okay, so this is the 17th. And you'll see, right, America has a 27-degree moon. And like I said previously, that the eclipse is going to be happening at 28 degrees of Aquarius. And so this is within a degree orb of America's moon. And so what I found interesting about this is usually the moon in a natal chart represents, like, for you and me and how I would read for you, the moon represents nurturing sensitivity, your feelings, what makes you feel comfortable, safe. It can represent your mother, your home, things of that nature. But because this is, well, also it represents women as well, and the body, like your flesh body. But because this is not a person, this is a country, this is the United States moon, it can kind of represent like a very emotional time, because it's the solar eclipse, and that also represents like leaders and everything. So it can be an inflection point, and I feel that might be what we've been witnessing within the last 2 weeks, and also something else that may happen as an inflection point, something that's going to be may come across as I know we've been witnessing a lot of crazy things, but maybe something else that maybe seem chaotic, kind of fated circumstances continuing, especially around the time of the eclipse. And also, I just kind of wanted to say, like, 250 years ago, like I said, we were in the American Revolution already. And at that time, our founding fathers in America were fighting this war, this revolutionary war, because they, at that time, decided that they no longer wanted to be under monarchy rule. And it's kind of interesting that now we are experiencing, like, there has been no king protests, and we're fixing to have another one, I believe, on March 28th. So we're not like fighting a hot revolutionary war per se, but we are definitely still with the same mindset of this country was not founded under a monarchy, and we are not wanting to be ruled by a king. And that is being shown, like, a lot by all the protests and everything. But I think what also makes this really special, like a very special eclipse, is that we are also experiencing right now Pluto in Aquarius. Let me see what degree. It is at 4 degrees right now. And we've already had our Pluto return as a country when it was at 27 degrees of Capricorn right here. But essentially, like, these are really rocky times for us. We are having to decide right now, like, how is the best way to serve humanity. And I kind of also wanted to talk about, what Pluto in Aquarius is really trying to teach us right now, like the energy of Pluto. And it's, like, to kind of speak to a little bit of Pluto's mythology. So in Greek mythology, Pluto is Hades. And then, of course, in the Roman mythology, Pluto. In the Greek mythology, Hades was not really considered, um, like he was a little bit more feared in Greek mythology, and in Roman mythology, Pluto was a little bit considered more of a helper god, not a god that was to be feared as much, because he could also pu- sorry, I can't talk, procure wealth, and who doesn't like wealth, right? But that also kind of leads me to like the definition of plutocracy, and I had pulled that up because I wanted to um, read that to you, just so we all kind of remember what the definition of plutocracy is. And it's the government by the wealthy, a country or society governed by the wealthy, an elite or ruling class of people whose power derives from their wealth. And it's something right now that's kind of um, obvious, that in our society right now, especially here in America and around the world, that we are essentially being run by the very few billionaires in the world, and they have a lot more say than like the 99. They're considered the 1%, and we're considered the 99%. And they have a lot more sway, and they have a lot more money to do whatever they want. And I just wanted to also, I don't know if you remember this, but Pluto, of course, had been retrograding and going forward back into Aquarius for a few years. But I believe it was November 14th that of 2024 that Pluto finally ingressed into Aquarius. And it was right after the election of 2024 here in America. And then in the inauguration of Trump, if you remember, this is like I really think this photo will go down in history, because these are the people that were here, that were there at the time that Trump was being inaugurated for his presidency. And you can see right here, inauguration of billionaires. There's Elon Musk, who's fixing to be a trillionaire, the man who owns Google, Jeff Bezos, and what's his name, the guy who owns Facebook. And it was just a clear indication of, well, at least to me, and I'll explain why, but to me, it was really showing like Pluto, and I believe like the energies of the planets, they're here to teach us something. And Pluto at the time was definitely teaching us, look, this is who is running your country. These are the people who put money into the presidency. And, and even not even here, just in America, like the world, like these people have sway everywhere, and they own a lot. And so that kind of brings me to also something maybe like in the 2-week period leading up to this solar eclipse that we're fixing to witness, is that, not that this is the first time, of course, but more Epstein files were released, and a lot of people have been reading through them. And I personally haven't read through them, but I've been watching different like news sites and everything that have really good coverage on what they've been reading. And of course, I would always tell you, if you can, read them for yourself, so that from your firsthand experience what they say if you can stomach it. And I've heard some really, really terrible things that are in there, and it has caused a lot of people harm. And I find that really sad. And it's kind of like, so this eclipse is like opening people's eyes to that. And then, of course, Pluto being in Aquarius, this solar eclipse is fixing to really shine. Um, it not shine, but like bring a spotlight to things that maybe we didn't realize were there. And I know, I'm sure we've all had our conspiracies and everything, but at this point, it's like, wow, like there really is this huge, big elite club, and we are not a part of it, especially as the 99% of us, you know. And it was kind of funny because I was, as I've been going through listening to these things, I was speaking with my sister, and we're like, oh my god, like, did you hear this one, or did you read that one, or whatever. And I think a lot of us here in the US are, just I don't even know what words to say. Like, it's terrible, terrible things. And people are making TikToks about it, videos, everything. It's just, it can't be hidden anymore. And I think that's the point, right? Like, Pluto is, to me, the way I interpret this energy and everything, is that Pluto is really showing us right now, this is what's on the table. I am showing you who has the power, who is really running this thing. And are you okay with it? Are you going to keep going forward and be like, you know what? It is what it is, just whatever. Or are we going to decide as a nation, as an American people, that no, this needs to freaking stop? So I kind of think that's maybe also what we're being shown right now. And let's see. Well, yeah, anyways, I kind of got sidetracked a little bit, but I was talking to my sister about it, and she had made this quote, and I wrote it down so I could read it to you, but she was kind of saying, like, it seems that as the more clarity we get, with these files and everything else that's going on, the more clarity we get, oh, sorry, I can't read my own writing. Sorry, okay. It seems as the more clarity we have moving forward, the more prominent our path forward will become. And I kind of find that that is true. Because, like, why are we all going through this? And why are we all witnessing these really terrible things that have happened? And it kind of, I don't know if you watched my last video, but it kind of goes to something that Eckhart Tolle said, which was, life really isn't here to give you an easy time. It's here to awaken you. And right now, a lot of us, maybe there's still some that, still don't want to open their eyes, but there are many of us who are, and, are witnessing this and finally seeing for the first time what everything really is or means. Like, it's almost like waking up from the Matrix in a way. And we're not being, we're not believing this facade, this veneer that's been over our eyes for so long. And now we get to decide, what kind of country do we want? What kind of society? Whether or not we're going to have humanity for each other. And I think that's also something that, Pluto really wants us to dig into. And it's that we really need to dig deep. And for me, I feel, and I don't know, maybe you feel the same, and I'd love to know what you feel about all of this. Please leave a comment below. I'd love to read it. Just that, you know, we'll never be the same. It's almost as if, you know, a lot of our lives were a lie, you know? Like, yeah, I enjoyed my childhood. I grew up in the 90s. Things weren't as scary as they are now. And it hurts me to know that a lot of children, like, especially I have my son, he's only 7 years old. And to think that his childhood is this way, where like when I grew up, I felt safe. I could still go outside and ride my bike and be back home when the sun was setting, you know, and I don't feel that safe to let him do that. And it hurts me to know that a lot of these kids are having to witness this time right now. But as a society and as Americans, I think we get to choose, right? We get to decide how we want the future to be. And I guess we'll see when this eclipse happens and what it might bring, if it is going to bring an inflection point. So just be on the lookout. Um, you know, try to keep yourself not a nervous wreck or an anxiety. Because I think right now a lot of us are just walking around with a really crazy nervous system, just like ugh, everything's just really wild. And it can be hard on the body. So that's kind of all I really wanted to talk about today. And I thank you for joining me today. And please, if you like my content, sorry, I can't talk. My content, please like, share, subscribe, and please leave a comment. I'll be so excited to read anything you leave. And I thank you so much, and I will see you next time. All right, bye.